All right, today we're diving deep into the invisible currents that guide our conversations and relationships. We're talking about the unconscious psychological tricks that people, and yeah, that includes you and me, use every single day, often without having a clue we're even doing it. Let's get into it.
So let me ask you something. Think about the last conversation you had. Are you 100% sure you were in the driver's seat of your own thoughts? Because here's the thing, influence is usually silent, it's sneaky, and it happens way faster than you think.
Picture this. You walk into a room, a meeting, a party, whatever. In less than 10 seconds, someone in that room could have already started to subtly influence you without saying a single word.
And the crazy part? You won't feel a thing. There's no alarm bell that goes off in your head, no weird feeling. It's like a ghost in the machine of our social lives, totally invisible to your conscious mind.
And that's the kicker. While you're busy with the how are yous and the handshakes, the ancient, subconscious part of your brain is already picking up on these tiny signals, processing them and responding, sometimes in the exact way someone else wants it to.
So how in the world does this actually work? Well, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at 10 of the most common unconscious tricks out there. And once you see them, I promise you are going to start noticing them everywhere.
First on our list is the mirror effect. This one goes way back. It's basically an ancient survival instinct. When someone subtly copies your body language or your tone, they're not always trying to be manipulative. Their brain is just trying to signal, hey, we're on the same team.
So, you lean forward, they lean forward. You cross your arms, and a moment later, they do too. Your brain picks up on this pattern and interprets it as safety, as familiarity. It's like it whispers to you, I like this person. They're part of my tribe. And bam, just like that, you're a little more open, a little more trusting.
All right, next up, a trick that uses a weapon we all kind of dread: awkward silence. It's called the pause pressure. You've probably felt this. Someone asks you a question, and then they just stop talking. They wait, and your brain absolutely panics. That silence feels like a void, like a judgment, and we rush to fill it, often by saying way, way more than we ever meant to.
Then there's the spotlight switch. Now this one is incredibly sneaky. It's not a direct challenge. It's something tiny. A slight tilt of the head, maybe a single raised eyebrow while you're talking, and all of a sudden you feel like you're being intensely analyzed. Under that invisible spotlight, your confidence can just plummet, and suddenly your own arguments don't feel so strong anymore. Emotional anchoring. This is a powerful one. You see, really charismatic people do this all the time, probably without even thinking about it. They'll tell a story, maybe something funny or heartwarming, and your brain doesn't just hear the story. It actually links that positive emotion directly to them. They become the feeling, and that creates this really powerful, almost magnetic bond.
And this is where things get really wild. Look at this number, 85%. According to research published in Psychological Science, that's how many of our social decisions are made unconsciously. We are flying on autopilot most of the time, which makes these next few tricks, well, frighteningly effective.
Which leads us perfectly into micro-validation. Look, we are all fundamentally wired to crave approval. It's just human. So these tiny little signals, a quick nod while you're talking, a brief smile, a little they're like little treats for your brain. And without even realizing it, you'll start steering what you say to get more of those little rewards. You're following the path of emotional safety they're laying out for you.
But micro-validation has a dark twin: selective listening. And this isn't just someone ignoring you. It's way more subtle. They're engaged, they're listening, but only when you say what they want to hear. The moment you state a boundary or bring up something they don't like, crickets. That subtle rejection makes you question yourself, and you start watering down your own stance just to get them to engage again.
Next up, we have the confusion principle. The goal here is simple: short-circuit your logical brain. Someone might do this by overwhelming you with technical jargon, or by jumping from topic to topic so fast you get mental whiplash. Once your critical thinking is exhausted, you're way more open to a suggestion, mostly because your brain just wants the overload to stop.
Now for one that can be just so emotionally draining: guilt planting. This tactic doesn't attack you, it attacks your sense of empathy. It's those little comments like, oh, I guess you're just too busy for me, or no, it's fine, don't worry about me. What they're really doing is creating an emotional debt. They make you feel responsible for their happiness, and that feeling of guilt starts to pull your strings.
And running in that same vein is the withdrawal threat. Now, this isn't about yelling or big arguments. It is the quiet, cold opposite. The person just becomes distant. Their texts get shorter. Their tone gets flat. Our brains are hardwired to see social rejection as a major threat to our survival, so this quiet pulling away can trigger a real panic, making us scramble to do whatever it takes to get back in their good graces.
And finally, our 10th trick, future projection. This happens when someone starts talking about a shared future with you, using phrases like, just imagine us doing this next year, or we're going to have so much fun when we. Your brain hears this and releases bonding chemicals like oxytocin. It gets attached to the idea, to the possibility, even if the other person never really intended to follow through.
So, we've just laid out 10 pretty powerful, pretty common tricks, but it brings up a huge question, right? Why are we so vulnerable to this stuff? Why do our brains fall for these patterns over and over and over again?
Well, the answer isn't that everyone's a secret master manipulator. It's because the human brain is, in many ways, very predictable. These tricks work so well because they plug directly into our ancient, hardwired survival codes. We're all running on this kind of human autopilot that was designed to keep us alive on the savannah, not to navigate tricky office politics.
And this chart just lays it out so clearly. The mirror effect works because of our deep, primal need to belong to a tribe. The withdrawal threat terrifies us because, for our ancestors, being cast out of the group meant certain death. Even guilt planting is just a twisted shortcut to force an emotional connection. It's never really about the trick itself. It's about the ancient code that the trick exploits.
So, the real danger here isn't necessarily what other people are doing. It's the fact that our own brains are programmed to respond automatically with trust or fear or guilt. But, and this is a big but, there is a way to take back control.
And it really comes down to this simple idea. Awareness breaks the spell. The moment you can step back and just recognize the pattern, that automatic response starts to lose its power. When you notice someone mirroring you, you can consciously think, wait, do I trust them because they've earned it or just because they feel familiar? When you feel that pressure of silence, you can choose to take a breath and own that space instead of rushing to fill it. Awareness gives you the power to choose your next move.
And that right there is the ultimate game changer. Now, you can walk back into that same room we talked about at the beginning, but instead of being an unconscious player in the game, you become an observer. You can see the invisible patterns, you understand the emotional currents, and you can navigate them with a clarity you didn't have before.
But this is really just the beginning. Now that you know the unconscious tricks that are out there, the next question is, well, it's a bit of a darker one. How do people who intentionally want to manipulate someone choose their targets? What makes a person vulnerable? That is exactly what we are going to break down in our next explainer. You won't want to miss it.